reunión conjunta de ministros de Agricultura y Pesca del ALBA-TCP. Palabras a cargo del secretario ejecutivo de la Alianza Bolivariana para los Pueblos de Nuestra América, Tratado de Comercio de los Pueblos, Jorge Arriaza Montserrat.
Buenos días, queridas compañeras, queridos compañeros de los países miembros de la Alianza Bolivariana para los Pueblos de Nuestra América. Esta es la primera reunión conjunta de ministros de Agricultura y de Pesca. En algunos casos, muchos de los casos en el Caribe, ambas competencias reposan en un mismo ministerio, pero creemos que son áreas fundamentales para garantizar la alimentación de nuestro pueblo, nuestras capacidades en la Alianza Bolivariana de más de 2,5 millones de kilómetros cuadrados continentales de tierra, más el Mar Caribe, que tiene más de 1 millón de kilómetros que están bajo la jurisdicción de los países de nuestra Alianza Bolivariana en zona económica exclusiva, en capacidades de explotación marina, más nuestros ríos, nuestra acuicultura, nuestras capacidades de cría, de cultivos, y en momentos en los cuales el mundo se debate en guerras comerciales, en guerras fratricidas contra pueblos excluidos, la Alianza Bolivariana está buscando fórmulas válidas, viables, fórmulas ganar-ganar que garanticen no solo la seguridad, sino la soberanía alimentaria de nuestros países. Hay quienes prevén una crisis alimentaria generalizada en el mundo en muy corto plazo, para lo cual nosotros debemos estar preparados, para lo cual debemos estar coordinados y sin ningún tipo de restricción burocratista, por decirlo de alguna manera, recordando un poco al Che y su lucha contra el burocratismo, ser audaces y capaces, como nos pedirían nuestros comandantes eternos Fidel Castro y Hugo Chávez, de dar los pasos para que nuestro pueblo no carezca, nuestros pueblos no carezcan de lo más elemental para vivir, que es su alimento, que es lo que les permitirá tener salud, de lo que les permitirá desarrollarse integralmente. El día de hoy contamos con una delegación muy nutrida. El ministro de Agricultura de Venezuela ayer la verdad es que hizo un acto heroico al venir. Él está bajo tratamiento médico con una neumonía. Él se excusa el día de hoy. Aquí está su viceministra, Tibisay, bienvenida. Ahí está el ministro de Pesca y Acuicultura, Juan Carlos Loyo, presente. Por la República de Cuba está el señor Idael Jesús Pérez Brito, ministro de Agricultura. San Vicente y las Granadinas, el ministro Saboto César, bienvenido hermano. Por la Federación de San Cristóbal y Nieves, señor Samuel Doggins, ministro de Agricultura, Pesca, Recursos Marinos. Por la Mancomunidad de Dominica, el señor Julián Defoe, ministro de Estado en el Ministerio de Agricultura, Pesca, Economía Azul y Verde. Por Granada, el señor Javon Williams, secretario permanente del Ministerio de Desarrollo Económico, Economía Azul, Planificación, Agricultura, Tierras, Silvicultura, Asuntos Marinos. Por Santa Lucía, el doctor Randall Esnard, secretario permanente adjunto. Por la República de Nicaragua encabeza la nutrida delegación la señora Luz Adila Luna, vicerrectora de la Universidad Nacional Agraria. Muchas gracias. Por el Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia, el señor Ramiro Lizondo, director ejecutivo del Banco del ALBA, encabeza la delegación. Por Antigua y Barbuda, el señor Ica Fergus, oficial del Ministerio de Agricultura y una invitada muy especial, la secretaria o ministra de Estado del Despacho de Agricultura y Ganadería de Honduras, la señora Laura Suazo. A ustedes y todas sus delegaciones, bienvenidos, bienvenidas a Caracas a esta importante reunión. Raúl Icausi, presidente del directorio ejecutivo del Banco del ALBA, por aquí está Rander Peña también, viceministro para América Latina de Venezuela. Y bueno, creo que la dinámica de esta reunión
meeting, we hear all the interventions. Once we listen to the various representatives, we are going to reach some conclusions, and to begin, we are going to give the floor to the hosts. And we would like to thank President Maduro not only for facilitating this meeting and this Expo fair, AgroAlba, but also for devising and proposing the two initiatives that are today on the table, namely AgroAlba, that as our ministers explained yesterday, give us the possibility to produce food in any of our countries and to in favor of the rest of the countries through a joint investment, a win-win investment. And another interesting initiative, which is the ALBA Blue, that is also promoted by Venezuela through the Ministry of Fishing. And very soon we're going to have joint fishing fleets of our countries in the Caribbean Sea. I do not know if in the Titicaca Lake we can also fish with our brothers and sisters from Bolivia. We can have aquaculture in Bolivia. Bolivia has a huge capacity. And in the same way that Cuba is going to start very soon with AgroAlba in Venezuela, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are ready also to start producing with us. We will be also growing soybean in Bolivia. So here we are ready. So from ALBA, this Alliance for Life, we can give life to our people. So we give the floor to our Minister, Juan Carlos Loyo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Secretary General. Again, welcome all delegations that have joined us in this first encounter of Ministers of Agriculture and Fishing of ALBA-TCP. February the 3rd, our authorities, our heads, met in the 12th Extraordinary Summit of the peoples and countries of ALBA. During that summit, our heads agreed to move forward with the development of the strategic proposal of AgroAlba. They also agreed to launch the strategy named ALBA Blue. Both initiatives are part of the Strategic Agenda 2030 of ALBA. President Nicolas Maduro has been working very hard also in the 2030 agenda for Venezuela, for the transformation of the various fields of the country. And I'd like to make a comment. Why are we concerned about the future? Why are we concerned about the 2030 agenda? If you today examine the panels of experts, the think tanks of various ideologies and different governments, there is a cluster of topics that repeat themselves. There are three major challenges humanity is facing for 2030. First, the role of rare earths, the use of minerals for microchip technologies, for the electric batteries, etc. And this is creating a new geopolitical fight, a struggle regarding rare earths. The second major topic discussed worldwide is AI. What is the role of AI for our nations? What is the use of technology, knowledge, and R&D? And a third topic was always discussed in these meetings, and contrary to the other two, have been in the world agenda since the 70s, is food security and sovereignty. Today, much more emphasis is put on food security and sovereignty as a whole. Why? Well, COVID taught us a lesson. The global supply chains in the food field, at the time of hyperglobalization, those food chains or those chains collapsed, supply chains collapsed. And the tariff warfare that's been unleashed by a given country, one country in particular, that tariff warfare has also upended the supply chain of food around the world. So again, the discussion is required. The discussion on how to have a clear-cut perspective on how we're going to produce food. We need to ensure the future of food production with our own technologies, sharing our knowledge among all. This is a hot topic today among big nations. So, friendly nations like ours, what should we do? Nations with common bonds, united by respect, cooperation, and solidarity, a solidarity that has been seriously damaged lately. What friendly nations should do in this framework? Where our heads have clearly identified an initiative in the field of AI in order to be ready to confront this new age, and the initiative gathering us today, namely AgroAlba and ALBA Blue. How can we produce food in a safe, sovereign manner, fully protected from any alterations of international supply chains, providing security to our peoples, perspectives, but also enabling us as a bloc to be a group of friends, strong group of friends, capable of facing this reorganization of world order. Venezuela, as Julio Leon said yesterday, and myself, following the instruction of President Maduro, we have proposed two strategies, which is a single root of these two strategies in the framework of our solidarity and cooperation, to share land, livestock land, that with you we can produce food in a sustainable fashion, premised on an agroecological approach. Our president used to say, regenerative agricultural approach. to use our productive spaces so all nations can develop their own capacities and agricultural production. It is a total innovation. However, there are many countries working with this with land bank under the logic of capital. So land banks rented for seeds and some crops. However, that is not our approach. Our proposal is premised on the ideals of those who created ALBA. We need to do this in the framework of sustainability and solidarity. The second component of this strategy, see what is uniting us, at least the member countries of the ALBA, namely the Caribbean Sea. It has a strategic importance. We need to approach it so we can share knowledge, experiences, to bolster the use of marine resources and the wealth of knowledge of biodiversity of the Caribbean Sea, and everything in the framework of respect, of sovereignty of each one of our nations regarding the sea resources. And we have included agriculture. So all ALBA countries can enjoy this initiative. Agriculture, as we said yesterday, according to the latest FAO analysis, the two lines have crossed. Today, the world is producing as many food products through agriculture as through fishing activities. So the world needs to have agriculture which is sustainable for food production. The ALBA Blue strategy also includes agriculture. So as along with the land, we need to have water initiatives so our fishers can have the technologies enabling them to have marine agriculture, but also the use of our water bodies and rivers to have continental agriculture activities. Therefore, the topics are there, the agenda is there. This agenda was discussed yesterday. We have held many meetings so far, and it is now as public servants to land this initiative to so our peoples have a concrete 2030 agenda to provide well-being, food, and food security for all. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Very clear what you stated, the proposals that you made. As I said before, in truth, it is one sole proposal here. Well, that's what I say, to make the best use of our land and our resource, marine and agriculture resources to be able to feed our peoples and solidarity. Vice Minister Tiwasay Leon, you have the floor, madam. Good morning to you all. Before, I would like to request on behalf of Leon Heredia, his Vice Minister, because he was not able to come here, as was said before by the Secretary, because he has a health problem. He is recovering, shall we say, and he's made I'm Vice Minister of Agriculture and Lands. Besides that, I am President of INSIGHT, which is National Institute of Health of Agriculture, and the instruction by the Minister, of course, is to strengthen everything that has to be strengthened, to expedite everything that has to be expedited with our people. Now, with respect to the lands, we are right now coordinated work that was instructed by the ministry Leon Heredia. We are checking all of the lands that we have that are available for AgroAlba. That is why we are seriously saying that when we going to do the bilateral meetings, we will have a concretion of what lands we already have that have been reviewed and willing and ready whenever you want to come to work the lands here. And as I said, by the minister said yesterday, by Leon Heredia as well, the minister Juan Laudio, we have much land here for everyone. There is plenty of land. So there's a multidisciplinary team that is checking all land by land pieces to give you the best lands that we have available to you. We would like then that you come here to Venezuela to work with us, and the lands that you do not have, you can be sure that they are for you at your service. As our Commander Chavez showed us and President Maduro has instructed us, our lands are of AgroAlba. Therefore, is the AgroAlba it was born. I would also like to say that our secretary today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Jorge Arriaza. Today is his birthday, the Executive Secretary of ALBA. Thank you very much. Thank you, TVSI, for your words. I was surprised with the last announcement about my birthday today. Thank you. It's a great birthday to be working for feeding our people in this realm. And as was said by the Vice Minister yesterday, there were bilateral meetings held here until 11 p.m. Wasn't it, Juan Carlos? Right. That we worked until 11 p.m. Many countries with the teams of Venezuela, with the team of the International Center of Productive Investment, Alex Saab, the Culture Minister of, and there have been many positive results of these important meetings. The mass media have, and I want the mass media meaning to know that while in other parts of the world, the multi-billionaires are fighting for social media with the multimillionaires amongst themselves, and the great corporations are threatened. We are searching for solutions that be effective, true, and feasible in order to feed our people in these times and the times to come. I would now like to give the floor to the minister and brother of the Republic of Cuba, Idalia Jesus Perez Brito. You have the floor, sir. Thank you very much. Dear ministers and Secretary Agriculture of the different countries that are here present, representatives as well that are accompanying us this morning, special guests, on behalf of the workers of the system of agriculture of the Republic of Cuba and the cooperatives and the peasants, and in my own name, permit me to thank you for your gentile invitation to participate here, where we will present the challenges that we have today and those of the future for the systems of food for our countries, different countries. Dear colleagues, what grave crisis is a threat to the world today that has imposed us the challenge to look for alternatives in order to improve the systems of food in the world. And they have demanded a dynamic response to this that is concrete, fast, in order to advance in the economic horizons of ALBA-TCP. In order to guarantee the sovereignty and food security of member countries of all of this region. Intense have been the efforts that have been made and the topics of discussion that have been concrete in order to mitigate the lags imposed on Cuba from the economic blockade that my country suffers, as well as other countries like the sister Republic of Venezuela, as well as Nicaragua, impacted duly by the successive administrations of the United States, and also has different areas that are humanitarian, limiting not only access to financing of technology and markets. These are modest, have been the results achieved by Cuba in the agro food sector. Not so much. We are willing to share our positive experience, and for this we count on the political will of our government and the projection to increase the volume of strategically to be sustainable in order to achieve developments in the agricultural sector and in the future as well as in the present. And right now we are in this very difficult difficult context. We have used different politics that have been making us develop in the agro-food sector, making emphasis on the small productions that are private and cooperatives that are using different policies of economic incentives and tax incentives facing the climate change, innovation of technology based on the transformations of the matrix of agro-productive one and access to lands and a reduction of the reduction of deficiencies between the differences between city and country. Recently, we found ourselves implementing a law of sovereignty and food security, education, and nutrition that is bearing fruit and empowering our municipalities already, of course, approved by our constitution, of course, of the strengths of our and strengthens our municipality and approved recently in order to be implemented is a decree of agroecology as well, something that we have always practiced in Cuba, searching for sovereignty and security, but now based on laws. Also, there's another decree, a law with respect to agricultural aspects that permits to put into good practices, and we continue to give lands for free to our producers. Now we are reviewing as well our law of lands in order to improve and search more rapprochement to these sectors and more people in the field. That is to give lands to farmers for free for them to produce. In emphasis also in policies that are more precise amongst the youth, permit them also to search their own life project there, and there are many projects here related with these issues of our youth to include them, and it is therefore for them that AgroAlba offers opportunities that are valuable for Cuba. And we acknowledge it here, Secretary. We want to thank you for that topic, and we will continue to advance and give priority directly in what you explained in order to start to sow the land. And it is the will of of Hugo Chavez, the past that we started, and in honor of him in Cuba, we have to concrete these topics in order to advance towards the consecution, achieving these objectives, and it is a key project for food sovereignty and the development of agriculture of the region, searching to foster sustainable development and food security. One, we can be sure, and we can import food, of course, but that's not being sovereign. If we produce in a country, what it is sure and sovereign. The best thing is that you be self-sufficient with respect to production of food. I don't want to end without before reiterate our thankfulness to the organizers of this event for this invitation and this opportunity that has given to us, and I would like to ratify, and I say it with all sincerity, ratify then our commitment with ALBA-TCP and with AgroAlba to work together hand in hand, that we give our best efforts. We are willing and able, as well as our farmers, for together struggle for the idea of a better world is better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. With the commitment of our bosses, heads of that time, and our heads today, we're going to move forward. Now we're going to give the floor to Saboto Caesar, Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fishing, Rural Transformation, Industry and Work from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Muchísimas gracias, señor presidente.
I want to take this opportunity also to wish you a happy birthday. You're looking younger and younger every time I see you, so you must be doing something good. I want to recognize all colleagues who are here and their respective delegations. And I wish to begin by thanking the government and people of Venezuela for your warm hospitality expressed to my delegation since our arrival. It's always good to be among friends and comrades. We are living in a world today where we are witnessing a significant disruption in global food supply chains. And I want to just bring some context to the conversation, because around the table, we are all of different sizes. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a population of just over 100,000 persons, with only 18,000 acres of land for agriculture. This land is not flat, but significantly undulating because we are volcanic in nature. And quite recently, we had 32 explosive volcanic eruptions, and climate change continued to grapple with its vagaries. We had a major hurricane destroying 90% of our plantains and bananas and close to 95% of our fisheries sector. We are living in a world today where when we turn on the news, you do not know what to expect because of the global uncertainties. And I want us to spend some time to appreciate the impact, past, present, and future, of the tariff wars that we are experiencing. At one time, we heard about blockades impacting our brothers and sisters in Cuba, in Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Little did we know that within our lifetime, that you can have a trade war affecting everyone around the table. If we leave here, if we leave Caracas today without understanding and appreciating the need for solidarity, and if I may, Mr. Chair, quote one of the greatest speakers of all times, Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, "There's a fierce urgency of now," and we must understand the times. Food must always be available, affordable, and accessible. And those are the fundamental tenets and principles and precepts that govern food and nutrition security. But as policymakers, and I speak directly to my colleagues, we represent here today, and coincidentally, as I speak, it's now midday, 12 o'clock. There are some mothers who, within Latin America and the Caribbean, because of food insecurity, they're finding it difficult to get that next pound of milk for their children. There are workers on construction sites in Latin America and the Caribbean. Because of the disruptions in global supply chains, it's lunchtime by their clock, but they do not know exactly what they're going to have for lunch. And if they know, it is not as nutritious as it should be. Colleagues, we represent here today, Mr. Chair, those who are not in the room. And we must always be cognizant of our noble duty as policymakers to ensure that we have food and nutrition security. Why are we here? How did we get here? And what are the next steps? Within the context of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are a part of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and we have what is known as the OECS FAST strategy, the strategy to promote food and nutrition security. We are part of CARICOM, and we have a 25 by 25 strategy to reduce our food import bill by 25% by 2025, this year. But because of significant impacts, we will not be able to achieve that goal, and we will be extending it to 2030. We are part of CELAC, and I want to recognize the hard work and dedication of member states of CELAC, in particular the minister from Honduras, for the work that she has done, and let us give a special round of applause. After St. Vincent and the Grenadines was able to pilot the firm implementation, the first phase of the CELAC Food and Nutrition Security Plan. And today, we are here celebrating our first meeting of AgroAlba and ALBA Azul. It is a time for us to celebrate, a time for us to reflect, but most importantly, a time for us to prepare. Mr. Chair, let me end my brief presentation with just a few recommendations. We are here to take action. We have enough land as a factor of production within the ALBA member states. Land as a factor of production is not the problem. We have the ability to mobilize capital. We have the ability to mobilize labor. We have the political will. But transportation is an issue. Without transportation, we can have an excellent functioning AgroAlba farm in Venezuela, but if we cannot move the food, important pillar of accessibility, it will be an exercise in futility. I also want to encourage the need for a borderless approach in the exchange of technical cooperation between and among ALBA member states as it pertains to agriculture and fisheries. I am convinced, Mr. Chair, that within the room we have the requisite human resource capacity to have an exponential increase in production and productivity. But because of bureaucracy, because of an absence of solidarity between technicians, and as I say this, I must also, within the context of the conversation, say thank you, because we have done excellent work together as it pertains to technical cooperation. Our students continue to go to universities within ALBA member states. The government and people of Dominica, they have assisted St. Vincent and the Grenadines in producing white potatoes. We received from the government of Venezuela the largest shipment of urea ever to be landed in my country. And because of that, we were able to have a new commodity emerging, taro, dashin, as a major crop. And we continue to benefit from the technical cooperation, but it must be deepened and it must also be enhanced. I always remember the words of President Chavez when he asked the question, what is ALBA? The peoples of the Caribbean, the Caribs and the Arawaks who came up the Orinoco River, did not have artificial intelligence. They did not have computers. They did not have the technology that we have today, but they traversed land and sea and were able to establish platforms of solidarity. Of course, it was disrupted by colonial powers. And what we are seeing today, what we are being asked of around this table, With the total removal of trade preferences for sugar and for bananas, we have to do it by ourselves. And that is the essence of the sovereignty in food production and trade that we are speaking about. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Muchas gracias, ministro.
Thank you very much, Minister Saboto. Thank you for your reflections. And thank you for putting always on the ALBA table with these crucial topics. Ralph Gonsalves, as have already done this, logistics, transportation are essential.
In these policies, on the contrary, we will always be enslaved or slaves and subject to third parties. And Venezuela also has put at your disposal. There's a vessel that is in repairs right now. That they're doing maintenance to this vessel, and we have to see then also in this table as well as other tables of trade how a vessel has a cargo of to 900 containers for ALBA. But we also have to see how to create a plan of sustainability, of profitability as well, so that it be effective and efficient. And also we have a cargo plane that will be available in the next few months, exclusively giving priority to our alliance. Thank you very much. And now I want to give the floor to our brother Samuel Duggins, Minister of Agriculture, Fishery and Cooperatives and Entrepreneurship and Creative of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias.
Master Chair, distinguished colleagues, honored guests, media, all. Let me express my absolute honor to be among this gathering. Hailing from the smallest state within the gathering, St. Kitts and Nevis, Twin Island Federation, collectively of just 104 square miles. Smallest not just by landmass but also population, with a collective population of just around 50,000. However, a shared brother in the dream and the ambition of food sovereignty and food security. Recognizing our size or the limits there within, in comparison to some of our brothers within ALBA, we see the challenge, the inherent challenge that we face to achieve food security, food sovereignty. Because if it is difficult for much larger countries, it is certainly a lot more difficult for a small territory. However, that speaks to the importance of a gathering like this. It speaks to the importance of us coming together under this body. Because as we heard from my learned friend from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is enough land within the collective of ALBA. We have to now bring all expertise together, all other factors of production together to ensure that advancement. One of the things that has emerged for St. Kitts and Nevis by a factor of our size is the recognition that we have to do more with less. And so from our end, we have recognized that the implementation of technology will become essential for any one of us to achieve food security, food sovereignty. We also recognize that our collective efforts and the reliance on our larger brothers within these organizations, whether it be the OECS, whether it be CARICOM, whether it be ALBA, CELAP, we will have to rely on the collective expertise and the support of our larger brothers, while sharing the expertise that we have gathered as well. And so as we come together here, I must say that I'm looking forward to seeing the development of this, as this is our first meeting, and my first time being here in Venezuela. I must say, I landed this morning, and I want to thank the country for the hospitality expressed thus far. But I look forward to further development and understanding of what is happening on the ground here in Venezuela. Because coming from a small territory, looking at the developments of these larger countries, I see plenty of opportunities. And the offering of lands within the country of Venezuela is something that we certainly welcome. But more so, we welcome the expertise, the technical expertise, and the support. The capitalization around that as well. Because my brother from St. Vincent spoke to it. There are many times in St. Kitts where we have an overproduction of some foods. And there's a demand even as close as Dominica, which is a few miles away. But the transportation has been a major problem. Sometimes there are foods and even countries that we can visibly see across the waters. We run the challenge of having the right transportation at the right time and at the right cost. Because that is one of the factors. Having it, the right transportation, right time, and at the right cost. And so as we deliberate and we move forward, these are some of the factors that we must take into consideration. Because yes, we've seen the wars waged against our territories by the colonialists. And this has happened for centuries. We now recognize how important it is for us to band together. But the factors of production, being accessible, being available, at the right cost, is something that we must consider. And so to all my brothers and sisters, I want to say how delighted I am to be a part of your organizations, to be in your company. But I also want to say that, notwithstanding our size in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have a shared dream that is as big as any of us here, to achieve food security and to achieve food sovereignty for our people. As I sit here, I represent all 50,000 of my people, but I also represent the entire collective of ALBA and every other organization that we sit a part of. So I look forward to these deliberations continuing, and I look forward to see how we can collectively bring solutions, real solutions, to the challenges that we all face as a collective. And with that, I say thank you all for having us here, and I wish this every success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Duggins from St. Kitts and Nevis. The magic of Alba, Minister Loyo. Here is an oil reserve. We have the biggest oil reserve in the world here of lithium, the biggest lithium reserve of the world, the Caribbean Sea, but we also have the smallest country of the American continent is here in a condition of equality, and our interest is for any of the countries, the big countries here, but more for the smaller countries that are always the most vulnerable of them all. Thank you very much for being present and highlighting the great critical points that we have to address for the Commonwealth of Dominica. Mr. Julian Defoe, Minister of State of Ministry of Agriculture, Fishery, Blue Economy with specialty in fishery.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Secretariat, honorable ministers from Venezuela, Thank you very much for the hospitality. And this is on behalf of the Commonwealth of Dominica, a true and long-time friend of Venezuela and ALBA, and to my fellow colleagues from ALBA, especially the OECS. You know, the OECS has a very special place in our heart, so I must always recognize collectively and the greater family. And for the hospitality we have received from the entire Venezuelan delegation, we are always forever grateful, and I express this gratitude from the Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, again, a true friend of Venezuela, Prime Minister of Dominica. Mr. Chair, fellow ministers, delegates, I bring to you warm greetings from the nature island of the Caribbean. As you can see, I have said the nature island. It gives me great pleasure and privilege to address you today at the first joint meeting of ALBA-TCP, of Agriculture and Fisheries, Ministerial Forum on Agriculture in this beautiful city of Caracas, Venezuela. I wish to thank the host country and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, of which Dominica has a long-standing relationship, for its kind hospitality. Mr. Chair, agriculture has remained the pillar of Dominica's economy, guaranteeing food and nutrition security, job creation, foreign exchange earnings. And for this reason, the government of Dominica has embarked on a transformative journey of the agriculture sector towards a fully food self-sufficient nation. Notwithstanding the myriad of challenges confronting the sector, the government continued efforts through strategic programs and investments towards achieving the global thrust of food and nutrition security. The government of Dominica is therefore committed to the sustainable development of the sector by ensuring its contribution to the socio-economic development of the country. The ALBA-TCP and AgroAlba is a transformative initiative based on solidarity and cooperation among us, Latin America and the Caribbean. Brothers and sisters, I believe the ultimate goal, our fundamental role as policymakers and technicians, are to create a better life for our people, free of hunger and poverty. AgroAlba should be a platform for productive investments in agriculture, fisheries, agro-processing, and marketing to bring prosperity to our people. Mr. Chair, the government of Dominica has set itself a target to increase the contribution of agriculture to $700 million by the year 2030. This is contribution to GDP. And by 2030 will be a 200% increase target. We focus on increasing the production of agriculture produce, livestock, horticulture, and fishing to reduce the need for importation and to increase our exports. Enhance the Nature Island brand and expand market share locally, regionally, and internationally. And to increase agro-processing output to add value to our agricultural produce. The rapid overall growth cannot be attained without transforming the agriculture food system. Within the thematic discourse of agriculture and climate change, the America's agri-food system transformation must involve investment and targeted actions along the entire value chain, which encompasses the primary production of food, aggregation or consolidation, post-harvest handling, standards and food safety, cold storage, transportation, processing, distribution, marketing, disposal, and consumption. Mr. Chair, we have made gains in working towards this transformation, but also we have experienced several setbacks as we battle the impacts of climate change. In light of this, Mr. Chair, our aspirations and goals are to make Dominica a global center for agricultural resilience. This is well articulated in all policy frameworks, namely the National Resilient Development Strategy, the Climate Resilience Recovery Plan, and the National Agriculture Policy. In building this resilience agriculture sector, the government of Dominica the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has stood steadfast in providing technical and financial support through the technical and economic cooperation. Petro-Caribbean Agreement has supported economic and social development. It has advanced agriculture, food security and sovereignty across our region through strengthened economic cooperation since the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries. Mr. Chair, it is in this spirit of cooperation and mutual friendship that I look forward to the outcomes of this important and timely agreement. The Strategic Action Plan of ALBA-TCP and AgroAlba, including ALBA-Azul agreement. Agricultural cooperation will see the advancement of the sector through building capacity, the coordination of agricultural policies, and the introduction of new technology. In order for AgroAlba to realize its objectives, we must work as a collective. We must embed climate resilience as a fundamental pillar as we work as a bloc in fostering a strengthened alliance for climate financing as we adapt to the impacts of climate change, wars, conflicts, supply chain interruption, and high cost of inputs. As a bloc, we should establish effective and efficient networks and platforms where information of best practices can be shared, as most of us have similar issues and challenges as we all work towards the same goal, which is enhancing food security in our respective countries. Colleagues, let this forum be the starting point for collective action, and let this initiative serve as a catalyst as together fight against poverty, hunger, and climate change. Once again, Mr. Chair, as I conclude, I would like to pledge Dominica's full support, commitment, and active participation in this agriculture cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother. Very important what you said, that especially the topic of climate change and how to face it, especially the small insular countries, but in general, to all of the coastal countries that have coastlines, they will be, because it will be affected, and they are already being affected, their coastlines and all of their ecosystems as well. So I believe that as the central element of the AgroAlba and ALBA-Azul initiative, it is fundamental to take this into account always. Thank you very much. Now the Republic of Cuba also. We have the Vice Minister, Viralis Naranjo Blanco, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Industries, of Food Industries, that we would like to give the floor right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dean Secretary, Excellency, Ministers here present this morning, distinguished representatives of the member countries of ALBA-TCP, dear delegations and special guests here present. ALBA-TCP was born 2 decades ago as an alternative that was revolutionary to the models of integration, their hegemonic ones, based on the principles of solidarity, complementarity, and social justice inspired our leaders at that time. And since then, we have demonstrated that cooperation South-South could generate results that are tangible. More than 2 million people that with they have become literate strategic aspects and social programs implemented that have improved the quality of life of our peoples. And these achievements remind us the power of transformation of our alliances when we act with unity. And today, vis-a-vis the global challenges of climate change and food, ALBA-TCP has the opportunity historically to reinvent its cooperation in key sectors. The crisis of food at the world that has elevated the number of people that have suffered hunger, according to data of FAO, say that we have to accelerate our mechanisms of complementarity that are agro-productive. The successes previous in health and education, they show us that when we unite ourselves, we can achieve what seemed impossible in the past. And this is the spirit that has to guide our work in agriculture and fishery. Transform the needs that are common to us in solutions that are innovative, that come from our own identity and regional capacity. Cuba applauds the initiative of advancing in the launching of a project Blue as an element of cooperation and integration of the region in order to potentiate a connectivity that is sea and efficient, facilitating the flow of services and goods, as well as to employ the existing aspects that we have with respect to investigation in identifying projects that are joint projects applied in fishery and aquaculture with emphasis on sustainability of the environment. And in this context, Cuba decides to highlight three main axes for our joint work, which are sovereignty of food sovereignty as a pillar, which requires to strengthen our capabilities of production by way of cooperation of technology, exchange of best practices, and the training of specialized people. The development of fisheries that's sustainable, where we have to optimize the use of our marine resources that are shared, promoting investigation, scientific investigation, and technological innovation, as was said before yesterday by the Minister of Fishery here. The complementarity of economic complementarity that will create chains of value and financial mechanisms adapted to the realities of our countries, as has been said here by the ministers that spoke before me. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges that we face in the agro food are quite complex, but our will to cooperate is stronger. Cuba reiterates its willingness to share its experiences and to learn from the advances of our brothers of ALBA-TCP. Let's work together to transform these challenges in opportunities that are concrete of development for our peoples, always guided by the principles of solidarity, equity, and social justice that are the basis of our alliance. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, viceministra. Cuba siempre será clave en todos los procesos de la alianza.
Of this alliance, and we should include all the knowledge after so many years of resistance to the blockade that you have developed after so many years of it with respect to food, and that is very useful for all of our countries. Now I would like to give the floor to our brother Jean-Juan Williams, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Economic Development and Blue Agriculture, Silviculture, Marine Aspects, and Cooperatives of Grenada. You have the floor.
Buenos días. Quisiera comenzar.
People and the government of Venezuela for the invitation here in Venezuela to participate in this meaningful gathering. The country of Grenada is very happy for the idea of allowing us to work together as a chain of islands to develop our strength and our food security system for the benefit of the future. With all the inevitabilities existing now with our climate change, we as Grenada, a country as Grenada, is willing to cooperate, collaborate, and share technical skills and ideas and look for meaningful support as much as possible so that we can develop our citizens day by day and have them capable of being ready for any eventualities that might affect the livelihoods of our people. So on Grenada's behalf, we want to say thank you, and we are willing to work together as much as possible.
Thank you very much, dear brother. San Lucia, Permanent Deputy Secretary, Mr. Randall.
Good afternoon. Ministry of Agriculture, ministers of Ministry of Agriculture of ALBA-TCP countries, high-level authorities, specially invited guests, and members of the head table, good morning. Members of the media, good morning to you as well. I convey greetings from our Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, and my Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Alfred Prosper, and from the people of St. Lucia, who are also part of this ALBA-TCP. On behalf of the government of St. Lucia and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security, and Rural Development, I extend warm greetings and sincere appreciation to participate in this historic first joint meeting of ALBA-TCP Ministers of Agriculture and Fisheries. Allow me to begin by expressing our deep gratitude to the government of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela for the warm hospitality extended to our delegation and for hosting this important gathering. This meeting exemplifies the spirit of solidarity and cooperation that defines the ALBA-TCP, a partnership that St. Lucia values deeply. As small island developing states, our nations face similar challenges: climate change, food insecurity, economic vulnerabilities, impacts of the recent trade war that demand collective action and innovative solutions. Today, we gather to strengthen regional partnerships in agriculture and fisheries, which are all critical sectors for food sovereignty, livelihoods, and resilience of our people. St. Lucia applauds ALBA-TCP's focus on food security and sovereignty, prioritizing regional production, reducing imports, and supporting small-scale farmers and fishers. St. Lucia applauds ALBA-TCP's focus on climate resilience for sharing of technologies and best practices to adapt our agro-food systems to climate threats. St. Lucia applauds ALBA-TCP's focus on trade and market access, expanding fair trade mechanisms within ALBA-TCP to benefit our local producers. And finally, St. Lucia applauds ALBA-TCP's focus on sustainable fisheries, combating IUU, fishing, and protecting marine resources through joint policies. Mr. Chair, St. Lucia stands ready to collaborate on concrete initiatives, including knowledge exchange, capacity building, disaster response frameworks, and the like. Let us use this meeting to advance actionable commitments that uplift our rural communities and ensure no one is left behind. Mr. Chair, I want to end quickly by saying to all members of ALBA-TCP, in unity, we are stronger. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Esner. Now we'll give the floor to the Vice Rector of the National Agrarian University of Nicaragua, Madam Luz Adilia Luna. You have the floor, Madam. Good morning to all of you here present. Thank you very much for this invitation to this very important meeting where we are accompanied by ministers of agriculture and representatives and heads of delegations of each one of the countries that are made up of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of our Americas, ALBA-TCP. On behalf of our good government of reconciliation and revolutionary government directed by our President, Commander Daniel Ortega, and our co-president, Rosario Morilla, that sends you a fraternal greeting, a revolutionary embrace to each and every one of you and all of the countries present here in this meeting today. On behalf of our good government of reconciliation and national unity, we always address the aspect of food sovereignty because we see it as one of the main axes where we have been working on in an important way our people of Nicaragua. Food security and sovereignty of our people is a policy that has as its pivotal aspect each of the Nicaraguan families that they are guaranteed the right to food as a human right that is universal for us. The international reports always are aimed at an increase of millions of people that have hunger, even though there have been advances have been achieved in the area of science and technology and communication in a world each time more globalized. That indicates that we need to evolve to a system that is a world economic system that is more solidary, more fair and equitable, towards a world that is more human or more humane. As proposed by the objective of this meeting, the countries member of ALBA and of all of the region, we need to advance in the development of strategies and systems, food systems that are sustainable, that contribute to the stability, economic stability, social stability, and environmental stability of our peoples, creating the capabilities and the resilience vis-a-vis climate change. For Nicaragua, it is an opportunity to continue to going into depth the efforts made in order to combat hunger, poverty, inequalities, and social exclusion as well, with firm believers of creating a better world for betting on peace, stability, and security in the midst of the convulsions of situations that we leave because of the aggressions that imposed on us by the United States unilaterally against our sacred people, vis-a-vis the economic world instability and the adverse aspects of the schemes. Our good government of reconciliation and national unity has been working, trying to potentiate national production, assuring access to food that are healthy and harmless, that is available to everyone, stable and sufficient for everyone and for all of the families of Nicaragua. In order to assure this objective, to achieve the policies and strategies has as a guideline the strengthening of the productive capabilities, technology transfer, investments, and in infrastructure, promoting models that are associative ones and cooperatives as well. Also, an increase of production and productivity with high standards of quality and harmless food, and developing the families in the fields, prioritizing the participation of women and men in the rural sectors of indigenous people and Afro descendants, including even the protagonic role of the youth in the fields and in the countryside. Since 2007, there was strengthening of the agro area that has been pivotal to achieve this. The strengthening has permitted us to increase the production of food that are essential for our country in the Nicaraguan, to eat beef, to eat chicken, white corn, beans, and eggs. In the year 2006, Nicaragua was not self-sufficient in the production of these basic foods that I just mentioned. We imported approximately 40% of them, of the food that we had to have. But thanks to the efforts made and the programs implemented by our country, the country has been able to achieve a national consumption of this, that we covered all. And this advancement is not only assures an accessible food for everyone, but also it strengthens the local economy and reduces the dependence on imports in our country. In the years 2007 until now, the sector of agriculture has experienced a growth of 112.5% increase, fostered by the increase of 126% in the agricultural sector and the 99% in the bovine one. This advancement is due to the great measure of the program, social productive, implemented by our national system of production, consumption, and trade as well, and in livestock that I did mention before. This data reflects a robust growth of the sector, consolidating Nicaragua as a country, as a sector that is a dynamic livestock and with continually growing and facilitating the growth of the metrics of agro-export, maintain as these items to beef, the dairy products, coffee, the red beans, tobacco, sugar cane, plantain, cocoa, as well as other aspects. And we have implemented also policies and strategies in agriculture for the development, rural development, and social productive elements that have made advances in the sector of food, with diverse investments made, the public and private, with one sound support with respect to legal systems and social also property. In the last 16 years, our good government the revolution that Sandinist government has fostered advances in the structural needs that are significant, that have been crucial for the development of Nicaragua. One of the most areas that can highlight is the investment in infrastructure of road systems. For 2024, more than 5,400 kilometers of road systems have been paved, and this has grown. And they have been made under our great government, head by our co-president, Commander Daniel Ortega, and our co-president, Rosario Murillo, his partner. These investments in roadways are key for the production and facilitate trade and the consumption of goods and services that are linked directly to the agro sector in all of the national territory. And likewise, the efforts that are being made in the electrification have transformed radically also the access to energy, power energy of anyone. In the year 2006, there were only 50% of the Nicaraguan homes had access to electricity. But for April of this year, 2025, this percentage has increased to an impressive 99.6% of the population, benefiting the families of the urban areas as well as the rural ones. And without doubt, we reiterate our greatest thankfulness for the cooperation received that we have been developing with the people of Venezuela who has helped us in this endeavor from the year 2007. And this expansion in access to electric energy has improved the quality of life of the citizens and permitted us to advance in the technification and agro-industry in rural sectors of the country. And it's worth highlighting that more than 80% of the electric generation in Nicaragua comes from sources that are renewable sources. This is a development that is sustainable, and our commitment and we protect our environment. And these advances not only represent improvements in the infrastructure and basic services, but also they are pillars for an economic growth that is inclusive and sustainable for the country. In the last 17 years, we have been promoting strategies from which we foster investigation, entrepreneurship, innovation, and entrepreneurial development of the people who live in the rural areas, participation of women and young people. As a result of this fostering of initiatives of entrepreneurs in the rural area, by way of these strategies, we promote the capitalization, improvement of productivity, transformation of production, organization, as well as creation of associations that facilitate access to markets and financing, promotion and commercialization or trade of local markets and national ones to incentivize entrepreneurships. And without doubt, what is left, there's much to do, especially in area of family farming and resilience of the units of production, where we can highlight the protagonism of small and medium size producers that family base their livelihood on that, and it is creatives, and it is an important source of employment in the majority of the rural areas of our country, that is of Nicaragua. Our country continues to work struggling against poverty, implementing all types of efforts made to create food security and nutritional security of our people, the strengthening of family agriculture and creative economies and entrepreneurships in fields, in cities and in rural areas, in investment that prioritize the productive areas, along with guarantee of the rights to health, education, security, to peace of mind, safeguarding our Mother Earth, our Pachamama. The government and people of Nicaragua unite itself with hope to the celebration of this meeting here, this ministerial meeting, convinced that it represents a key platform for an exchange of strategies and knowledge that will permit us to continue to take steps forward to transform the sector of agriculture towards a resilient, improve food security, and sponsor the rural development of our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. Thanks to your delegation. We also have among us Giovanni Alvarez, Secretary General of the Livestock Department, co-director of the Agricultural Technology, Roberto Rocha, coordinator of the fishing body, Pedro Benavides, director of the National Center of Tissue Cultivation, ambassador. Thank you to the co-chair, co-president of Nicaragua, and thank you for telling us the achievements of the Sandinist government despite the attacks and tergiversations. Your economy is flourishing, ensuring social rights of your people. Thank you very much for being here. And now we're going to the very heart of South America, to our beloved Bolivia, the plurinational state of Bolivia. Marc Antonio Romain, General Director of Promotion of Exports and Investment. Thank you very much. Greetings, Secretary General, to the authorities of Venezuela. On behalf of the plurinational state of Bolivia, our President Luis Arce, and our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Celinda Sosa, I would like to express my gratitude for the opportunity to participate in this event of such importance for our countries. As you know, Bolivia has been implementing an economic, social, productive model that is being implemented successfully in our country, where generation of surplus of strategic sectors is distributed in the country to benefit the vulnerable sectors excluded in the past. In the context of this model, we are implementing the policy of input substitution and industrialization that is being included in our policy of development. In this sense, we want to increase production of food for the people in more than 13 productive complexes with special characteristics. These units are made up by small and medium-sized companies, peasants, and the indigenous communities. In our country, they are the very base of our economic development. Therefore, they are main stakeholders in our economy. Food sovereignty, as you have mentioned here, is a human right. In this sense, it is a duty of governments to cover the food basic needs of our vulnerable populations through the implementation of public policies which are effective and sustainable in production and trade. Bolivia has been one of the precursors of food sovereignty. We have presented this proposal in various regional and multilateral fora. We keep on strengthening these initiatives. We should work in a perspective and in a comprehensive approach. As part of this comprehensive approach, we have a complementarity agreement number 70 in Harare in the framework of ALBA-TCP with Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Bolivia. And we need to deepen this agreement as part of this comprehensive development in the framework of the two pillars that we have, solidarity and complementarity. In this context, the AgroAlba project is the sole alternative to regionalize food sovereignty from the global south. We are convinced as a country that we can move forward together. We can integrate into food security in this context of a turbulent world where developed countries are implementing protectionist policies, as you know. Such is the case of the unilateral tariff policies of the US and the policy implemented by the EU with the non-deforestation policy that is damageable to our producers. Bolivia is respect the AgroAlba principles and within the constitutional framework of our laws. Therefore, we can deepen the regional solidarity from practice and experience. And we are pleased to work together in order to attain the shared objectives despite this regional and world juncture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear brother. The best wishes to you for Bolivia and in this table. And it's not only my birthday, but also there's a birthday of our brother here, Tika Fergus, officer of the Ministry of Agriculture of Antigua Barbuda. Happy birthday to you too. You have the floor, sir.
Dear delegates, distinguished colleagues, representatives of our nations, brothers and sisters of the ALBA-TCP, it is a huge privilege and an honor to be here with you.
Not only as a technician in agricultural realm, but also as a voice that has great commitment of the vision of Honorable Minister of Agriculture, my country, of fishing and economy and blue economy and lands that unfortunately could not accompany me due to other previous obligations, national obligations that he had. But he extends his warm greetings and his full support for the work that we are here doing. The minister wants to express his thankfulness, his gratefulness to this country for their hospitality, for the hospitality received, and for summoning this vital meeting here today. This is a testimony of the spirit of the long-lasting spirit of the collaboration and mutual aspects that define ALBA. That is it is crucial here. We can see it's crucial every time more as we we see the different challenges that we are facing our agricultural sectors, and by extension the well-being of our peoples as well. We are meeting here in a crucial moment. The world is living and is bearing the multifaceted impacts of climate change today, and there is food insecurity due to this. However, within ALBA, we have the unique opportunity and, in fact, a great responsibility, a shared responsibility, in order to forge a road towards greater resilience, self sufficiency, and improvement of our agricultural situation today. Our vision, our collective vision within ALBA is clear, which is to strengthen food sovereignty, promote agricultural sustainable practices, and to assure that each citizen in our nations have access to food that are nutritious food. And this vision is not merely an aspiration. No, it is a human right. It is a right, fundamental, and which is a cornerstone for in order to have true independence, national independence. We use this meeting in order to reaffirm our commitment with the principles of solidarity, complementarity, and cooperation as well. Let's When we leave here, we should come out with concrete action plans, alliances, strengthening us in a renewed determination, in order to cultivate not only to harvest food, but to have a future that is more safer and better with respect to food security for each nation within ALBA. Thank you very much. Thank you, brother. Brother Icar has an accent from Barina. He studied in Barinas, I believe, a few years ago. The land of Hugo Chavez, that's where he was born. Thank you, and thank you for your word. Now I want to give the floor to our special guest, always Honduras. She is in our hearts of ALBA. She has always been so. A greeting to the President, Xiomara Castro, please. To our dear President, Mel Zelaya, our sister then Laura Suazo, Minister, Secretary of State for the Office of Agriculture and Cattle Herding. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you here present. Especially, I would like to thank to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, to all of you who represent in this moment the maximum authorities. Thank you for your invitation and for your human warmth of our brother countries that you know, because you know how you know very well how to make people well. First of all, I bring here a greeting from our President Xiomara Castro, a woman who, besides leading a nation, she is also a woman from the fields, from the rural areas, and with respect to her plan of government, she has put in first line as food safety as the main issue. And from there, this is my starting point, celebrating the proposal of AgroAlba, which is a spectacular. It is truly, it is worthy of generating a sentiment of admiration, of gratitude, and respect as well. Because the countries, we are like brothers and sisters, and you are telling us here with this proposal that we can share amongst our people, amongst the nations, we can share amongst ourselves, that when we work together, we are stronger in order to be able to overcome the limitations that we may have. In our case, our work is under two slogans or mottos, which is of the president, is to go back to the to rural areas, to go to the fields. In 3.5 years, we've gone back to the fields, and bread for everyone is the other one. Food, that means food for everyone. And we, from the Secretary of Agriculture, we have worked on a slogan of working together for agro, because and it works because agriculture and food unite us all, and in our homes and outside our homes. And I want to comment to you that simultaneously, while you met here on February 3rd of this year to give way to that agreement of launching what is AgroAlba, simultaneously we were, even some of us, we are here right now. Basically, we were in Honduras doing that change of what was, shall we say, the component of nutritional security of CELAC from Honduras to our brother country of Colombia. And I received it from the brother country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in that event. And in that meeting, one of the main conclusions that we reached was precisely that of an agreement of strengthening mechanisms of exchange and of cooperation amongst our countries that will permit us, first of all, to assure more production, but also to assure better commercialization or trade. And in this sense, I am very glad to be here today sharing with all of you. As I mentioned, it is timely to know this AgroAlba project because this project is unique, singular, and innovative, and I'm sure it will be a great success. I also would like to highlight some items. I keep on thinking that as the years pass and this struggle continues of work, trying to construct a better world for everyone, I would like to highlight that competence that is unacceptable between the competition between environment, economy, and society. And I keep on believing that the economy in itself is at the forefront, generating unimaginable amounts of money and gains and benefits in some groups and sectors of society. But on the other hand, there are citizens like us and countries where the poverty is rampant and it is impregnated and fixed with great difficulty to be eradicated, that makes us question ourselves, where is the mankind going towards? The environment speaks for itself, and this agro food systems that we are implementing is also something urgent that have to be reviewed, because we have fallen consciously or unconsciously in models of production that are highly dependent of elements that are external to us, to our own place of our own countries, not, and we have fallen in the traps of the economy in order to depend then on fertilizers, pesticides that are no, not only we have to import them, but also we look the other way when it is mentioned, for example, that these generate, they harm our health, they're harmful, and therefore, lastly, there's a society, we, the people, the children, women, young people, the people who are old age, in the case of Latin America, continue to tell us that institutes of investigation tell us that still in this room here that we are representatives of Mesoamerica, Central America, and the Caribbean. And we are the population with greater amount of food insecurity in the world. And when we analyze Latin America, however, there are countries in the south that even, and although they have improved economically, but they still have populations that are in poverty. This has to call our attention all the time in that road, trying to achieve a better world free of hunger with food security, that it be truly measurable and that it be sustainable in time or through time, and not as in our cases that other ministers behind us to continue in that same struggle, that continued struggle of food security, that search, that hope of food sovereignty as well. I believe that in this case, besides this threat of food insecurity, there is the factor of poverty that is always there. Poverty limits us all, and therefore, this AgroAlba, in its element of increasing sovereignty and production, we have to bet on an improvement of economic income of all the people that participate in each one of these different activities. There are points that are important also that are worth highlighting, as have been mentioned here by other colleagues before me, with respect to the topic of climate change. In our specific case in Honduras, because of our geographic location, as well as many other countries that are, or that make up, shall we say, their island countries, where we live constantly and each year threatened each time that the hurricane season starts in the Atlantic, in the Pacific, but it is these elements, and in many of our plans, they are part of it. But sometimes we don't even count on how to manage risk management due to hurricanes, or do we have fixed budgets in our congresses, that will permit us to improve our infrastructure in order to minimize the risk of disasters in case of hurricane season. Climate change then definitely affects us, but it has to be an element and that we have, it has to be something to unite us. And in Honduras, we're working strongly, and there are different examples there. One, we would like to I would like to, maybe we can share those positive experiences, but there's no time. But I think this is a space also to share how is that other countries have been able to advance very quickly, and how they have advanced vis-a-vis these aspects. And here in this space, I would like to share with you that we are very proud, and more than proud, there's a sentiment of gratitude for the opportunity and of public service as well that is going to bring good things to a nation. In the case of coffee, for example, as well as other countries, it is one of our main products that we export, national as well as generate of currency. More than 1 million employments, 120,000 families are favored, but also has affected, or is also affected by climate change. And in this government, for the first time in the history of our country, we have achieved to initiate a plan of renewal of the coffee area with 20 million plants last year. Last year, of one of 7 varieties we had adapted, or varieties with tolerance to drought and to certain plagues or pest control. But now we have 100 million plants. In 2-3 years, then there's going to be an increase of production. But at least, or besides this, it is going to assure the economy of a nation that depends on an item as this, which is important. And there are also elements as well that are very important and that I would like to mention as well here very briefly. And it is the opportunity in this space also to review topics within AgroAlba that should be strengthen the aspect of knowledge, handling of management of knowledge, invest research, that my country not have to repeat research that maybe Grenada already made and that they applied or Nicaragua, for example, has had or is ready, that Honduras maybe has had, that maybe we can share. We have to share knowledge, share science, share technology to help each other. It has to be compulsory in spaces like these. I know, for example, that you, as ALBA, you have taken huge steps for us, and Honduras feels honored to be here, and also is considering to participate actively in a supply that is made an offer of AgroAlba, the topic especially of that of chain effects of all from our of items that we have. It is compulsory that we work together because Latin America cannot continue to produce under a focus of raw material only, nor to continue to calm the awareness, economic consciousness in increasing exports when in our own. So it is not the patio of our homes. It is in the homes of our homes, in our bedrooms and living rooms of our homes. There's a lot of food insecurity in our homes. The aspect of financing, agricultural financing, is also a key element in Honduras. For the first time in the history of our country, we were able to achieve to awaken a monster of the National Bank of Agricultural Development that was sleeping for 5 years before me, with a rate of arrears of great. But under this government, we have been able to achieve to 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 place 17,437 credits were given to producers from small farms up to millions. A total of $211 million of national funds were given, allotted. This is in order to reactivate. You have to review then the rates, interest rates of our countries and of our agreements as well, because there is the key. Agriculture is one of the sectors that less investment receives each year or receives money, and it is the ones that demands more, has so many demands. And on the other hand, I also believe that it's very important to strengthen our aspects of trading, commercialization. Many of us are very good to produce, but we don't know how to negotiate. And in these spaces, well, we have to learn to negotiate, to sell our products, and to position ourselves. This is a great challenge for us, and also raise of prices and external and internal threats of the basic food basket cannot be left on the back burner as an element that has to be reviewed. The rise of inputs, of fertilizers, of those pesticides, but also of the marine freight that COVID passed, and they were not reviewed again. And in some countries, even there are subsidies of electricity, and others, as in yours, there are subsidies for oil byproducts. But there is not anyone to monitor or work in that aspect. And I would like to close with an important aspect. Agro-logistics mentioned there was a vessel, and I think that 900 containers is going to be little once that this starts. And we have to work in a strategy that is even bigger in this sense, as well as to work in processes of advantages, giving permanence to be able to admit our products. And because sometimes we advance in some items, but we don't even know where to sell our products or where to sell amongst our countries and our neighboring countries. And it is time then that each one of us have a means of communication and a list which is, I sell so many thousands of tons of this item, of this product for the area, because I have so overproduction this year and I need to sell that overproduction, that I have an excess or surplus. But these topics in truth are still in the back burner. They are pending, shall we say, or outstanding. But in general, when two countries unite, I think we can achieve the miracle of eliminating the threat of hunger, the increased food security, and the income for families and the producers as well, without ever forgetting that to produce is possible. To produce more is possible. and also without forgetting either that poverty should start to disappear as we create and we improve our nutrition, our food sovereignty. And I did not speak about nutrition and the diets and the we are eating, which is another aspect which is also very important because it can also tell us to a failure of our species in because what we are eating without giving attention to what we're eating and with mercy and without any regulation. I want to close then as I started, thanking you for this meeting, for holding this meeting. I admire all of you. Thanking you, thanking Venezuela specifically. Greetings from my president of my country, and a message now of hope that it is possible to change the realities of today when we unite. We unite. So thank you all for Venezuela for this taking leadership, and blessings to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Secretary Minister. Best wishes to Honduras, these people that resisted for 12 years and now is back to the field, is back to life. So Honduras is a member, full member of our alliance, uh, beyond any formalities. And you are part and parcel of all plans, and your contributions are essential. So let's now give the floor to Raul Licausi. The ALBA Bank is present in the formula that we have devised. So ALBA, AgroAlba, and ALBA Sul are feasible. So all of you are part of ALBA Bank, and ALBA Bank is essential for this initiative to become a reality. Thank you very much, Secretary. Dear ministers, brothers and sisters, head of delegation, we've been paying close attention to your interventions. We have taken due note, and we reiterate that from ALBA Bank, we take up fully the challenge of taking up AgroAlba and ALBA Azul. It is not a fishing agricultural program. It's a common vision to eat what we produce, exchange what we produce, and to defend the food sovereignty of our peoples. We have unique advantages, a vast sea, fertile land, marvelous weather, but also we have the will, the political will of our peoples, a comprehensive approach that never surrender before the diktat of international bodies or foreign governments. 7 out of the 10 countries of ALBA Bank, we were the victims of the same colonial model that imposed a monoculture, sugar, destroying our traditional agricultural processes, and harvested our fields to feed their economies through slave labor. Out of 12 million slaves, 8 million were devoted to sugar growing to feed the European elite. And the bad treatment of slaved cultivated sugar, the treatment was worse than any other crop such as cotton in South United States. With AgroAlba, we are planting food, but we are repairing this history, giving it dignity and sovereignty. ALBA Bank will remain a concrete integration tool. We are ready to back your initiatives in this field, structured with the International Center of Productive Investment with Alex Saab. We've been working with him along with the fishing minister and minister of agriculture. So these initiatives are structured with sustainability and feasibility studies. We have started signing these agreements. You should know this. We have signed letter of intent with allied countries for trust funds and other mechanisms adapted to each project. Faced with sanctions, we respond with cooperation and joint production instead of recipes from technocrats from the high rise in the IMF, the World Bank. Us, we respond to our people with real solutions from Latin America and the Caribbean. We are also working with Venezuelan logistics societies to give maritime transportation in order to have an efficient transportation system between our nations. We propose to create a permanent financial body together with the fish and agricultural ministries for validate the financial proposals. Also, we can finance in various stages the various projects for transportation and food growing. So this has to do with sovereignty, with political vision. We can transform reality. Today, we are strengthening this logic from land and from the sea. You can count on the ALBA Bank, not only for the political aspects, but to mobilize concrete results and resources for projects that could transform our realities. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear brother. You're going to give the floor to Minister Loyo. Then outside, we are going to taste many delicious things. We're going to, after the tasting of this nice sea products, we're going to make a break before signing the documents. All the interventions have been magnificent. All your comments and statements have translated elements regarding food security and sovereignty, sustainability, well-being. I would like to conclude with two concrete comments. Yesterday, in the bilateral meeting that we had with our friend from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he said something that once back in St. Vincent, he had to tell his people something concrete in a press conference. So during the whole night, we've been discussing this because something similar happened to us. After these events, peasants, fishers, they write to us and tell us, what did you accomplish? What were the conclusions of that meeting? So the coming hours are crucial in order to have the concrete responses that the fishers, population, etc., are going to ask you about the result of this meeting. In the coming bilateral meetings, we need to discuss with the team of the Agricultural Land Ministry. We've been working for a while on this initiative. We already have the land. We have the productive areas. They are ready. And we can start right now with each one of you to identify what are the food, the crops, the type of soil you require, what are the productive spaces that better suited for your requirement. So we can land the projects premised on the elements mentioned by the president of ALBA Bank. We have 66 initial places where you can start immediately to realize these projects. And One of the main strategies here in this scheme, in the case of climate change, climate risk, is to build a seed fund, a seed bank, so each one of you can have the seeds available. So in case of climate adversity, you still have the seeds for sustainable production. Therefore, these are concrete proposals. So when we are back to our countries, we can tell our peoples we have land, we have the space, we have the seeds, so our country can have food security and sovereignty. And a sister nation is helping us. They are not thinking about who's big, who's or small. This is a relation premised on solidarity and not interest, self-interest. And second comment, in the frame of ALBA Sul, we are proposing research vis-a-vis climate change. In the coming days, we are going to have a virtual meeting with the Secretary of Researchers, Investigation Centers. Raúl reminded us there is sargassum very much present in our waters, coming from Quintana Roo, Mexico, and is going to reach the Eastern Caribbean region very soon. According to some estimates, this sargassum could increase to 37 million tons of sargassum. This is going to represent a serious problem to our shores, to our sea areas, and tourism, of course. We share this news to our fishing people. This time, this current is not due to traditional currents, but it's come from the west, east, from Africa. So we should perhaps talk to you so we can discuss this phenomenon, to understand what are the initiatives you have developed in order to know about the research you have conducted in order to tackle the sargassum problem and how we can solve this together. This should be an umbrella project within the ALBA Blue, and President Maduro has insisted that we work on concrete projects, and I think the sargassum issue could be a beginning. So thank you again for your statements, and we will continue building the greater homeland. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister. These are concrete and immediate actions. So someone is going to explain what we're going to taste.
Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to this important space, multilateral space here from the project of Kilometer to Venezuela. That is a project that emerges from the communities of Venezuela to generate a platform of samples of different products at a national level, not only from the point of view of agro, but also from that of the sea. We want to propose to you this afternoon tasting a small, there are 7 products of the sea in this case that we're going to work on, as is lobster, red lobster, tuna. All of these products somehow have a value from the tradition of ancestral of our there are different types of aspects here. We can see in our also we have preparations, international preparations. For example, ceviche, chelaquita, that has to do with mussel. So we have this tasting, and we can see what is to give the value. What today is important. That has to do with our fishermen and our producers. This is what we have for this tasting. We hope it's an inspiration in each one of the spaces, because undoubtedly the spaces of decision that are taken today impacts directly in each one of the producers of all of your countries. All great success to all the decisions taken today. Thank you very much. The floor is open. Thank you very much. Here we have Wilmer Cato Soteldo of AgroAlba. Now let's go to the tasting, and in a few minutes we will meet again here for the signing of the document. Thank you very much. So you can just step outside for the tasting. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please take your seats so that we can start this session. Ladies and gentlemen, special guests, authorities present here, we will start then the reading of the first joint meeting between Agriculture and Fishery of ALBA-TCP by the Executive Secretary of the Alliance for Jorge Arriaza Montserrat. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. This is the minute of the first joint meeting of ALBA-TCP Ministers of Agriculture and Fisheries. Committed to continue advancing jointly in the economic horizon of the 2030 ALBA strategic agenda, the ministers and high-level authorities of agriculture and fisheries ALBA-TCP met to promote productive initiatives in the ALBA Shared Economic Development Zone, as well as to propose strategies for sharing material resources, aiming to generate the greatest possible happiness for our peoples through joint actions. Convinced that as part of the natural processes of cooperation and understanding among our peoples, fair and equitable trade stands as a pillar for regional and global integration. This, when enhanced by expanded and efficient maritime connectivity, will facilitate the flow of goods and services, stimulating economic growth, significantly increasing the geographic scope for trade and developing greater employment opportunities. Consequently, commercial exchange supported by robust maritime infrastructure becomes a driving force for reducing poverty, promoting equity and social fabric. Determined to undertake actions aimed at achieving the goals set forth by our heads of state, within the framework of the 12th Extraordinary and Special Summits of the Peoples and Governments of ALBA-TCP, held virtually on February the 3rd, 2025, in which it was agreed to advance in the launch of ALBA Blue project and strengthen AgroAlba as an instrument for regional cooperation. The ministers and high-level authorities addressed the following work agenda: expansion of the AgroAlba project, development of agroecological regenerative agriculture techniques, exchange of experiences and research to determine regenerative agriculture and livestock protocols, the standardization of sanitary certificate for the export of agricultural and livestock products, ALBA Blue Initiative, the ALBA-TCP fishing fleet, the standardization of sanitary certificates for the export of fishery and agriculture products, holding of the first meeting of researchers and scientists on fisheries, agriculture of ALBA-TCP, creation of a network of research centers in fisheries and agriculture, the use of the existing technical and productive capacities of the Ezequiel Zamora fishing farming complex. First, consolidate AgroAlba as a strategic mechanism for a cooperation and integration of ALBA-TCP aimed at strengthening agricultural, livestock, and agroindustrial production by developing strategic alliances to facilitate access to productive land according to the capacities and needs of each nation. Provide technical and logistical support to guarantee the effective production of items prioritized for the food sovereignty of our peoples, promoting a sustainable solidarity and complementarity model. Formalize the creation of a regional investment fund for agri-food development, prioritizing sustainable production and agro-industrial transformation projects. Work on the implementation of a unified phytosanitary and soil sanitary certification system to facilitate agricultural livestock trade within ALBA-TCP. Move forward with the regional standardization of phytosanitary and soil sanitary certificates for agriculture, livestock, fishery, and agriculture as part of the unified certification system to facilitate trade within ALBA-TCP. A regional technical committee will be created to design and implement this system with a 12-month deadline for the adoption of common regulations and integration of sanitary control mechanisms. Adopt a regional plan to promote regenerative and agroecological agriculture, ensuring sustainable production and efficient use of natural resources. Create a program for the transfer of knowledge and agroecological technologies among member countries, prioritizing the training of producers and technicians in regenerative practices. Work on developing a common agroecological protocol adapted to the production condition of each country. Establish a joint fishing fleet as a mechanism to boost and strengthen economic supportive and complementary relations among member countries. Create a network of research centers of the fishing, agriculture, and related sciences sectors within ALBA-TCP to strengthen scientific research and innovation. Establish the ALBA-TCP block for participation in any fisheries and agriculture integration mechanism, as well as in various intergovernmental fora related to the sector, such as coffee, agriculture coffee, and subcommittees such as the Fisheries Management Committee. Design a common framework for the use of fishery resources shared among member countries. Create an ad hoc group or a fisheries and agriculture working group of the ALBA-TCP, and finally include the fishing and agriculture sector in the ALBA-TCP Social Council, as well as incorporated into the ALBA-TCP Council of Social Movements. This is the minutes of this meeting. If there is no objection or further contribution, it is approved. Thank you very much. Ministers. Thank you, ministers, delegations for participating. We have concrete agreements. It is now time to move forward, and among those progress, we are going to sign a number of concrete instruments of cooperation.
Beginning of the signing of agreements, program of cooperation between the Ministry of People's Power for Fishery and Aquaculture of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Ministry of Food Industry of the Republic of Cuba. letter of intention between the Ministry of the People's Power for Fishery and Aquaculture of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fishery, Blue and Green Economy of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Work plan between the Ministry of People's Power for Agriculture, Productive Agriculture and Lands of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Cuba in order to implement the AgroAlba project. Memorandum of Understanding for the strategic cooperation in diverse areas of interest between the Ministry of People's Power for Productive Agriculture and Lands of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fishery, Blue and Green Economy with specific competencies in fishery and blue economy of the Commonwealth of Dominica. With this, we invite the press and communication to come in the space designated for the official picture, and also our authorities president to our authorities to please accompany us to this last part of the event.